Hey everyone, so welcome back to Best Life Abroad, Not Your Average Travel Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Raquel, and today we are going to be talking about all things budget. So, a lot of times when I talk to people about like what their budget is for their move abroad, they're either overwhelmed, just trying to figure out like how do I even know what things cost somewhere else. They are either in the phase of shame where they're like, I just don't have any money. And so I'm trying to find something that will just be a better financial fit for myself, for my family. Or they are in like the phase of perfectionism. And in this perfectionism phase, it's like I have to have everything perfect. Otherwise, I might go into financial ruin while I'm abroad. Okay. So we are going to talk about this with real examples. And let's just keep this 100. One of the biggest questions that people ask when they're thinking about moving abroad is, can I even afford this? And so it's important for you to know whether the answer is actually yes or no. So the answer, I think, is yes, you probably can, but not by guessing, by actual planning. Because there's going to be some place in the world, even if you are in like a financial pinch and you're trying to remove some of the financial pressure. The reason why I say probably yes is because I'm sure that there is some place in the world where the cost of living is less than where you live right now. Okay. So planning is going to really be the key here and not guessing. So let's go ahead and get into this. Okay. Now, a lot of us did not grow up having real clear conversations about money. And so when you think about moving across the borders and to another country, numbers can feel even more complicated. We're talking about different currencies. We're talking about conversions. We're talking about not always changing everything to US dollars in your mind. But budgeting really isn't about restriction. It's about clarity and it is about choice. Okay. One person I am a big fan of is the Budgetnista. And one thing that she talks about is how, like, your budget is like your mom. And so it's like, can I do this? Well, did you do that? If you did that, then sure. So it's more like a check and a balance versus like a no. No, you can't do anything because you don't have money for that. It might also be a how do I make that happen? What do I need to do in order to be able to make that answer yes? So today, I am going to walk you through how to build a basic abroad budget using a cost of living calculator. I've shared many times that Numbeo, Numbeo, is my favorite, so we're going to use Numbeo. And then a real life scenario of someone moving to Mérida, Mexico. Okay, so let's imagine that you live in Atlanta right now. I have Atlanta on my mind because that is where I just recently came back from Atlanta. So we'll say you live in Atlanta and you're thinking of moving to Merida. Okay. Merida is one of Mexico's most popular expat cities. I just had a conversation with my son's best friend's dad. They are from a different part of Mexico, but he was sharing how Merida is the safest city to live in North America right now, including the US. So it is known for safety, community, warm weather, affordability, etc. Okay. So Merida might be a great option for you. Now, if you are currently in Atlanta, you are probably paying somewhere between like 15 to 1850 for rent. Okay. Now, this is a one bedroom. We're going to use like one person moving as an example. If you have a family, I just would double it, honestly. If you have a larger family, then go ahead and triple that thing. But so let's say we'll go like with the higher end of the spectrum. So let's say you're paying like 1850 in rent in Atlanta right now. And then your utilities, let's say, are around $200 a month. You pay about $80 in internet. Let's say you have a car and car insurance, so that would be around $600 a month. Groceries would be around 500, let's say. Um, if you have health insurance, you probably pay around $350. So we'll go with the $350 end. I am a person that I enjoy eating out, so I will always include that. in the budget. I think you always should, especially when you're moving to a new place, because you want to experience the things. You don't want it to be like this amazing place that everybody's talking about, but you don't have it in your budget to go. That defeats the purpose of the move. The move is to experience the new things, okay? So entertainment slash eating out, let's say is 300, and then just miscellaneous in Atlanta would be 200, okay? So with those expenses, that's a total monthly expense of $4,080 a month in Atlanta, okay, for just a one bedroom, one person, okay? Now let's say I'm planning to move abroad while I'm still paying off my car. So I plan on keeping my car, but just like parking it somewhere in the US. And then I also plan on keeping a US phone plan. Maybe so my family can still get in touch with me, etc. Okay. So what's going to follow you in your new place that you're still going to have to pay for the expenses that will follow you are your car payment, which let's say now is down to 400 for the actual car payment and like 50 for your insurance because you'll need minimum insurance if you're just storing it. And then your phone bill will also follow you. So for an international plan, it might be like $80 a month. And then if you want US health insurance or if you want travel insurance, it's usually between $150 and $350. Okay. So let's estimate you have a total of $800 monthly that is going to follow you to the new place you're moving to. Okay. So using Numbeo, I did a cost of living calculator. So you can actually like type in the city you live in, and then it will ask you, what city would you like to compare this to? And so I typed in Mérida, Mexico. And so based on those two, it gives me the differences in cost of living with specific numbers. Okay. It's not just like, oh, you'll pay 3 times more. It actually gives you specific numbers of what things cost. Okay. So when we look at the cost of living of Mérida and estimated monthly expenses in Mérida for a one-bedroom apartment in the city center, you'll pay around $550 a month. Okay. Your utilities would come to less than $90. Your internet would come to about $30. So for your utilities and internet combined, that's around $120. Okay. And that's electricity, heating, cooling, water, garbage. Internet would be like 60 megabytes per second. Okay. So that's the cost for those two. Groceries, let's say you're spending $300 a month in groceries, $200 on eating out and entertainment, lots to do. And then let's say you don't have a car in Mérida, so just for getting around and Ubering, it would be like, let's say $75. And then you still have that health insurance, whether it be the expat health insurance or local health insurance, we're talking about for one person. So that would be like around $150. Okay. So for your expenses in Mérida, for the same things, it would total around $1,395 a month. Okay. So here is the full picture. Your US expenses that are staying are $800, right? Your local expenses in Mérida are $1,345. So total each month to live in Mérida while continuing to manage your US expenses would be $2,145. Okay. So let's stop for a second. So that is almost half of what you are spending in Atlanta. All right, so that is the power of like having a full, clear understanding of what this move actually means. So for the people who are like, I can't afford it, you might not be able to afford not to if you're barely affording what you have now. Okay. So if you want to really take a deep look at like what you have going on now financially, what your finances could look like, you want to always consider what expenses you'll need to carry over with you. Again, Numbeo is a great one. Expatistan, EXPATISTAN.com also gives a good comparison. You can just Google like currency converter and type in Mexican pesos versus US dollars in order to compare what it actually would be in US dollars. And so do this. Make sure you're doing this. Last time we chatted, we talked about you narrowing it down to one location. This is what you can start doing with one location. You don't want to be doing this with like 12 places. Okay. So once you have some clarity on where you want to be, then you can really start getting a realistic number of what you need to be able to move to that place. Okay. So this week, I want you to not just like continue to keep scrolling through all the information, but I want you to start thinking through which of your US expenses will actually follow you abroad. And be honest, the only person you'd be lying to is yourself. If you know I am not selling my car, then you know you're going to keep your car. So then that whatever car payment you have is going to stay with you until it's paid off. If you have student loans, if you want to keep your phone plan. Now, mind you, I always feel like you should check out the phone plan of wherever you're moving to. Okay, because especially with the US and Mexico, there are so many people from Mexico and the US, so many people from the US and Mexico that it's very possible that there's a cheaper option for you in your new home country. Okay, list what are your non-negotiables? What are those expenses that you know you have to have covered to feel secure, confident, comfortable in your new country? One for me is healthcare. I always want to make sure that I have health insurance. I always want to make sure that if something that is emergent happens, that I can get where I need to get. I also work digitally, so having internet is not a non-negotiable for me. I have kids, so specific types of housing would be non-negotiable for me. And so I have to think about what are the costs of those non-negotiables, okay? Use a cost of living calculator. Do not just guess. Your guess is nada, okay? It doesn't mean anything. You need to actually do some research with real numbers from real platforms, real sources that can give you specific information. So compare the cost of living to your current monthly expenses. You know what you're already spending money on. That means more than likely you're going to continue spending money on those things, but in your new home country, okay? Run those numbers. Where is there a gap between your current lifestyle and your potential lifestyle? Maybe you're only budgeting in the US for $100 of entertainment or eating out, but you are actually spending in the US $400 for budget for entertainment and eating out. If so, you know, whatever you've budgeted for that in whatever country you're moving to, just go ahead and bump that up because we know that you like entertainment and eating. Okay. So there's no reason to skimp. Just put the money where it actually goes. Okay. And then where could you save? Maybe you have 3 cars in the US and you plan on having 1 car in whatever country you're moving to. That's a savings there. Okay. So it's important for you to really think this through realistically and not ideally. We're not talking about ideal money. We're talking about realistic money. What are you really spending your money on? And then again, if you have not yet, start that Move Abroad fund. Every $100 a month is a start. Every $50 a month is a start. Just add a line item to whatever budget you have now and name it Move Abroad Fund because we're out. Okay. So start budgeting now and getting your coins together so that you can make this happen. Okay. You do not have to be rich to move abroad. You do not have to have all of the resources. All you have to do is be honest and intentional. You don't need to have it all figured out today. You just need to get started. Okay, your budget, it is not a restriction, it is not a limitation, it is your map. Okay, with a clear map, you can go anywhere. But with a map that's all smudged and crumpled up and stuff you can't see, we don't know where we're going with that map. Okay, so we want clarity, we want intentionality. If this episode helped you, great. Share it with a friend, share it with your partner so that we can make these moves happen. If you have not already, go back and listen to the previous episodes of this season. You have some homework to do. Okay. We are building momentum week by week. Okay. So let's go ahead and get this move started. If you need some help, please reach out. I'm happy to help you. www.yourbestlifeabroad.com. Set up a time to chat with me so that we can walk you through. We can get your Move Abroad roadmap started so you can get this plan in action, okay? Because it's time. All right. Okay, y'all, you have your marching orders. So let's go ahead and make this thing happen, okay? All right, I will see you all next week. Bye.